Hey guys, what's going on? Welcome to another Sunday night to another episode of Fear the Walking Dead recap after show on AFTERBUZZ TV. We're going to break down Season 2, Episode 5, Captive. I'm joined by Simon Thompson and Ashley Chatman. I'm really excited to talk about it. It's a big Alicia and Jack episode. Let's get straight into it. See you guys in just a second.
You're tuning into the destination for TV superfan discussion, AFTERBUZZ TV. And now, let the buzz begin.
Oh yeah, 1970s Thin Lizzy. I just want to sing along.
Do it.
I'm not going to do it.
You should. You can't lead us in like that.
I would sing along, but only if I could sing along in a British accent, and I don't know how to do that.
Enough with the accents. Don't, seriously.
I know, we're really offensive. We apologize.
Welcome to the show, guys. Welcome to AFTERBUZZ TV and yet another episode of Fear the Walking Dead After Show. Just like I said in the intro, I'm joined by Simon Thompson and Ashley Chapman.
Hello.
Yes. Nice.
Thank you.
Happy Mother's Day.
Yeah, happy
to all
Mother's
the
Day.
mothers out there.
We didn't mention that during watching this episode, and Madison all her love for her children even once.
I know.
Yes.
But we'll talk about it now.
Exactly.
Cool.
Yeah. So this is Season 2, Episode 5, titled Captive. It was a very exciting episode. We only have 2 more episodes before the mid-season finale, so we're winding right into the end of the first half of this second season. A really great season, in my opinion.
Yeah.
It is a great season. We've said this, that all the episodes so far this season have been really strong.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
But this one is, I think, looking at the chat, is the one that people have got the most excited about, which
Okay.
I'm quite surprised by, because it's probably not the most intense.
Yeah.
But I think there's been a lot of stuff going on in this one.
Yeah.
That just ramped it up in a very different way to the other episodes. Less action.
Yeah.
But more personality.
Higher
Yeah.
stakes,
Yeah.
maybe.
It's less intense in certain ways, but there is a lot of tension there, and I think it's doing a really beautiful thing of sort of setting up, you know, future relationships, future conflict, and we're kind of seeing those seeds being sown. So I really liked this episode. I don't think it was my favorite thus far. I think some of the previous ones I probably liked a little bit more as in just in terms of overall all the elements, but so far I really like this one just as far as how they're really setting this up for future episodes and future storylines.
And some people are really getting their shit together.
Yeah.
And other people are completely losing their shit.
Yes. Well,
which I like.
And something I think we're starting to see is that Season 1, we met all these characters, and they were very much like sort of caricatures of their stereotype, their role within, within the group. And so in this season, now we're starting to see the dramatic seeds sown, as you said, but we're also seeing, now you have these caricatures, these people you're familiar with, and we're starting to see them veer off.
Yeah.
We're starting to see actually, a character like Chris, which is a great example of one, who who was this brooding character, we all were a little annoyed, and now he's getting really interesting.
Yeah.
Now he's becoming so I think that's really cool, and you have to establish your characters through a certain number of episodes to get that kind of payoff, and I think that's what we're starting to get. So without further ado, we're going to start breaking this down. I should remind everybody, of course, please leave your thoughts, comments below on YouTube. Find us on iTunes. Give us a rating, review, please. It helps us stay high in the standings. We provide free content. We would like to continue to provide free content. That's the way we do it. If you guys want to follow along on Twitter, you can find any one of us on Twitter. I am Ben Bateman. You can find me at Ben Bateman Media. I tweet actively about this show, so any questions you have for me, more than happy to respond.
And guys, I'm on Twitter, Ashley_Chatman, and on Facebook, Ashley Chatman. Let's get the conversation going.
And I'm on Twitter, Showbiz Simon, and then on Facebook, facebook.com/This is Simon Thompson.
And he's in the chat.
Yeah, I am in the chat. I'm kind of the secretary, so I'm wearing just
Our
stockings
beautiful,
under
lovely,
the desk.
our sexy
it.
secretary.
At least
Yeah.
I'm wearing them this week. I forgot them last week.
And Simon
Awkward.
will interact with you guys on the chat. So
Yeah,
if you want,
absolutely.
We'll read it off at certain points of the show. One last thing to remember, everybody, is prepare your Carol Watch prediction. At the end of the show, every episode, we do a thing where we kind of go around the table. We predict who do we think is the undercover badass that by the end of the season will be sort of that undercover commando type of character like Carol became in the first Walking Dead. So we'll be sharing that at the end during predictions. Without further ado, let's get straight into it. Let's start out where Alicia gets her steak taken by a pregnant woman.
Bitch.
I was like, oh my God.
I know pregnant women get hungry.
Yeah.
You know, they get cravings.
She was
but
eating for 2, guys. Come on, cut her some slack.
Yeah, but taking somebody's steak.
I know that was. And it
that's
looked
a
good.
low
And
blow.
Alicia looked like she was grubbing on that steak, too.
Oh,
Like,
yeah.
she looked like she was hungry.
She was like hesitant, and then she was like, you know
and
what?
then she's like, you know what, this is Bob's steak. I'm going to just dive right in. I know.
It's an Omaha steak, you know?
It
She's just like,
is.
I'll take advantage of this.
Yep.
But, blame it on hormones or whatever you want. But, I mean, obviously, yeah, there was that tension there. The pregnant woman didn't really trust her. So, we have a lot of that going on.
I think that's kind of it. We've seen a lot of this. We saw it on The Walking Dead and we're seeing it here. There's a lot of matriarchal stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Women are really standing their ground going, this is my place. Whether it's an island, whether it's their family, whether it's a position on a boat, whether it's a stake. It's kind of like, this is mine. Back
Right.
the hell off.
Yep.
I'm the woman here.
Something I thought was really funny. I was live tweeting this. My first tweet was about the steak, and
I did see that.
Yes. Well, so she, as a character, she's a character. There's obviously a big audience that wants her to turn into a badass. There's like a lot of support for Alicia Debnam Carey to have that change. And I saw her take the steak, and she gets up and she goes after her. I was like, oh my God, is this going to be the moment where we see her
over
shine
the steak?
through?
Was that it needed a steak?
Is she going to go and just like push her over the edge of the boat? Because you took my steak! But no, we didn't quite get that payoff. So
maybe another episode. We'll save that later.
Although when she went out, obviously she was going, I've got to follow the lady with my steak. She goes out there, realizes that the boat is on land, and is like, forget the steak.
Yeah.
We're on land for fuck's sake.
Yeah.
How did that happen? Yeah, so I think soon the steak became plan B.
Right.
And I was not expecting the boat to be on land.
Yeah,
No.
same
I
here.
just assumed, because everything else that's waterborne is in the water,
Right.
Yeah.
didn't see it going on the dry dock.
But it makes sense because, they were waiting for Reed and then the other two, the other two unknowns that we didn't really get their names. So,
Yeah.
I mean, it makes sense that they would kind of stay somewhere in the vicinity, and I'm sure
Right.
they had that plan, like, let's all meet up. But yeah, it's interesting, just that whole plan of attack, And then with them, being so sedentary too, it's like they're kind of exposed and open a little bit, I mean, I know that they have their radar there, but I just thought that was interesting too. It's like, they kind of set up this compound almost a little bit with all these boats, but they're still pretty exposed, so anyone could just sort of show up
Right.
and sort of ravage and pillage like they did with other boats.
Well, military-wise, it's a great position because you're not only land-based and elevated, so you can see everything else, you can track all the other boats, but
Right.
if you get in trouble, ain't nobody going to circle around you.
True.
Because you're on dry land. You've got the advantage over everybody else in the water, which
Right.
is good. Water can be fast; it can slow you down as well.
Yes, well, I thought it was interesting that, and I suppose we'll just jump around a little bit here, but obviously the way the episode ends, when we first talk to Connor at the beginning of the episode, and we start to get a sense of who he is and what his role is going to be, I thought he was going to be around for at least a minute.
Yeah.
That was a pretty quick exit. This just turned out to be just like a pivot point for the story, I guess.
Yeah.
It doesn't seem like they're going to have to contend with a whole ton of people with the loss of Connor.
Yeah.
Reed both.
Same here. I wasn't expecting the reunion between Alicia and Travis and Madison in the group to be as quick. I was just, hoping it probably would extend over the last few episodes, or maybe even into the mid-season finale. So, I mean, I think that they're probably, there's a reason for it. They're setting it up for there to be even more conflict and for there to be even more repercussions for those actions. But yeah, I don't know. I wonder what it would have been like if they kind of had stretched that out a little bit more and sort of delved into those characters a little bit more.
Well, I think what's really interesting that we're seeing, and we constantly compare it because it's a companion show to Walking Dead, is where The Walking Dead creates characters like the governor, like Negan. They bring them in and they last for a while. Sometimes like they don't like Alicia Witt's character. She died within one episode. But most of them are there and they're a key part of the story. I like the fact that the guys who are behind this show are kind of like, I'm going to introduce someone who's really strong, has a key position and a very specific role within the whole fabric of things, but they may be in it for one episode, they might be in it for 3, they might go away, they might come back.
Yeah, right.
It doesn't have that kind of like, this is the bad guy for this part of the season. Or, I like what they're doing. It is different. It doesn't feel like you're watching something that's very similar to the other show. I enjoy that.
Yeah, so
Keeps you on your toes.
Before the exchange that we talked about, we just start to see a little bit more of Alicia and Jack's relationship, which is a really interesting relationship because they're towing the line here. You're not supposed to really know, is she playing him all the way? Is she a little bit in? Is she actually on board? Is he on board with her? Is he going to run away?
Yeah.
There was an interesting exchange at the end of the episode when he says to her, is that really who you want to be with? The people who would do something like that. And it's like the way he asks it, it's like, well, of course, it's her family, man.
Yeah.
What are you talking about? She's known you for like a day.
Yeah.
Like, of course she wants to be with her family. But I mean, it's interesting. You predicted last week, Simon, that you thought he was going to become a bit more of an actual main character.
Yeah.
That he was going to grow into like a more interesting character.
Yeah.
Because obviously in the post-apocalyptic world, the fabric of all the relationships it's very recent. So if he starts working for Connor, that could be a relationship that's within a couple weeks long.
Yeah.
He finds himself in a situation where he's falling for a girl. I mean, he could jump ship, no pun intended, easily.
Yeah.
And I think that that's an interesting relationship. Now, do you think that even now, with her jumping in the water and running away, do you think that he'll still have a role? Or do you
Hell
think,
yeah.
Oh, yeah.
That look in his eyes was kind of like,
Yeah, it's not the end
damn
of
you,
it.
but
Yeah.
I want to be with you. So now he's questioning whether he goes, screw you, Connor.
Yeah.
I'm because obviously he doesn't know he's dead. He's gonna go, I'm gonna go and
Yeah.
do this. I'm going to go with you and I'm going to join you. But then he has to find his position because he's now very much an outsider. He's still seen as, you know, and there's a point where he said to her, you know, you hooked me in. I can't remember the exact.
It's the line that he said was, you reeled me in.
You reeled me in, and she's like, no, I didn't.
I didn't mean to.
Yeah.
Which
I wasn't. Yeah.
But it's something we saw with a lot of characters today. There were a lot of people who were going like, "Is this the person you want to be? Can you trust your family?"
Yeah.
And we saw this, you know, a couple of times with a number of characters. There are a lot of people going, you know, do you want to be with this group or that group? And it is. We are seeing these lines starting to appear, and it's not clear cut. So a lot of people are questioning their position and wondering, okay, I thought this was the right team to be with, but really, is there strength in numbers or is there strength in the smaller group? And how ruthless do we have to be to actually survive? But yeah, I don't think we've seen the last of him. The look on his face was like, I'm not going anywhere. He doesn't have anything to stay there for now.
Right. Well, he seemed to be like, when she was making the plan to go talk to Travis and get out of there, I mean, he was planning on like betraying and turning his back on the group. So he was already on board with running away with her. Which is surprising that at the end there, she didn't just say, "Come with me."
Yeah. Interesting.
Well, I
that
think
he didn't offer, "Can I come with you?" You know, type of thing. Because I'm sure they probably would have been. I mean, maybe it would have been some issues with it, but I mean, it's one person. You know, they've come in and like sort of pillaged everything.
I think she also probably looked at it and she was just like, as much as he's agreeing to help me see Travis and get out of here, you know, he's a means to an end for her. Now that she's free to go, she's kind of thinking to herself, even if I a little bit have a crush on this guy, or I'm a little bit kind of in on this guy, I don't want to invite him to the boat again and have to deal with my family this guy. Like he's not worth it. You know, it's a traumatic situation. She needs to get out of there. She needs to get away from dangerous people.
Yeah, and again, she was somewhat responsible for them actually making it to the Abigail in the first place. So I think it's like, okay, I have to kind of sever ties just to make things right, and then just to ensure that this doesn't happen again.
Right.
I think their reasons for being together and sort of following the route that they were following are very different, because I think he does genuinely feel affection for her.
Yeah.
And I think the role that is kind of like, okay, if I come with you, it's because you need me.
Right.
I'm helping you escape. We're doing this together. And she's kind of going, well, I could do it with or without you. I don't necessarily need your help. And her connection was less about emotional, and it was totally more functional. And obviously his relationship with the rest of the, let's refer to them as pirates, was very much kind of like, you know, what can you do? We heard this from, what's her name who came back? Alex?
Right, yep.
And she was like, you know, Connor, when Connor found her, was like, what do you do? What's your purpose?
She's like, I can give you this boat.
So for him, it was kind of like, it was an emotional and personal thing rather than I'm really good at doing X and Y. So that's my position within the group. So I think it's an interesting dynamic. It's a less functional and more, you know, visceral and emotional connection. Someone else in here, Winterwolf 915 says, he's such a stalker. Yeah.
Oh,
he is. Yeah. I mean,
the definition of a stalker.
Oh, Christ, you wouldn't swipe left on Tinder if that lunatic liked your picture. You know you're in for a bad date. Maybe you'll end up in a trunk. You never know.
I don't have a good feeling about him. I mean, you think he might be a relevant character and stick around. I mean, he might, but I got the feeling Alicia almost killed the pregnant woman. Like, I thought for a second she was going to pull the knife that we didn't even see her use. I think it was a switchblade, but I'm not.
They never really.
Yeah.
No, I think.
That.
Yeah, I mean, I thought exactly the same thing.
I thought this is going to be the turning point for her, where she's going to kill her first person.
2 people, because she'll be killing a mother and a child, and that would be a big.
That would suck.
I know, right?
Yeah.
That'd
be a lot.
Didn't even take her flowers.
Ultimate killjoy,
Yeah, so I think there would have been 2, from a story point of view and from a show point of view, I think there would have been a bit too much. I thought she was going to kill her too.
Yeah.
Yeah,
absolutely. So, all right, so we have their relationship, and Jack is kind of falling, and Alicia seems to be a little confused as to exactly what she wants. Now, at the same time, on the same boat, we have Travis downstairs in the dungeon, and Alex approaches him, and she looks pretty different. Her hair's like got crazy and curly and frizzy, which is one of those things where I'm just like, I wonder if they were just like, okay, was she wearing something else before? Was her hair up in a ponytail?
I thought it was back.
I thought it was back.
Yeah, that's what it was.
But I mean,
got real frizzy.
I mean,
fast.
you know, like who knows what happened during the time that she was still on the raft. With, what was the other guy who she was on the raft with?
The kid.
Yeah.
Brendan Myers, the actor.
Yeah. So, you know, I mean, a lot could have happened. I mean, just being on sea, speaking for all the ladies out there, being on the, you know, sea water, like sometimes the salt in the air can make your hair
I have
really
the same
frizzy.
problem whenever I go to the beach. It's the frizz.
It just doesn't
It's not
behave,
easy.
right? It's like an
Just got
animal in and
excited.
of itself. But yeah, so I mean, she definitely looked very, very different.
Yeah.
Almost kind of like she had been through a lot of stuff, you know, like very, very hard life. I thought it was very interesting that she focused a lot of her anger onto Travis, because I get that he was the one that put them in the raft, but it was very clear and obvious that he was trying to advocate for them in some way, you know, versus just leaving them stranded. He was trying to find a middle ground. So I thought that was very interesting, that her fixation and her anger was directed towards Travis and not really Strand, who was the person that cut the raft, you know, because if he hadn't, maybe they'd still be with the Abigail. Maybe there would have been some hope of them coming on board and them living. So yeah, what did you guys think about that whole
It is
situation?
interesting that she focused the energy on him to the point that she said to Connor, the guy that I want is Travis. Bring Travis.
Yeah, and I'm wondering, and I might be completely off the mark here with that, but I'm wondering if the fact that, because Strand, he clearly can kick ass.
Yeah.
In a fight, if you're going to fight anyone on the boat, don't want to pick a fight with Strand. He will knock you out. So it's kind of like he can be an object that you can actually get one up on. If you feel more powerful than that individual, you're more likely to be able to, in any situation, overpower him or take something out.
Right. Yeah.
You're not going to take, and you know that there's more behind Strand as well. And obviously she doesn't particularly know this.
Yeah.
But he's not a guy that says "mess with me" on his forehead.
True.
For me at this point, on the note of Strand, now that we've watched 10 episodes or something, or 11 episodes, Strand, Alicia, Nick, they're my three favorite characters. I'm like, those are the three. I'll bet you they're the fan favorites too.
Yeah.
I know that Alicia and Nick, they're like the youngest. That's actually not true. I think Chris, the actor who plays Chris, might be the youngest. But I know from like a heartthrob standpoint, those are the two that are getting all the media attention.
Yeah.
And I think from a character standpoint, Strand, Coleman Domingo is getting, so I feel like I'm kind of in line with what most people think.
Yeah.
But they're just the most satisfying characters.
Yeah.
Nick is kind of just becoming my favorite character slowly but surely.
Yeah.
He's just awesome. I just like that guy a lot, you know?
He's just constantly doing things that you don't particularly expect him to do.
Yeah.
You know that Chris is going to mess things up.
Oh, I can't wait to talk about
he's,
that.
oh my god, I wouldn't let him, run an errand.
I wouldn't let him make me a ham sandwich.
No,
Like,
it's
no,
like, oh, what have you put in there? Cheese? Is that ham? It's not ham, is it? No, it's cheese.
no, it's a foot.
Yeah.
Thanks, Chris.
So do you think that Travis, in that conversation with Alex, when he's trying to sell her the idea that he had to go through the same thing, I know that he's being honest in terms of what he went through, and he's trying to make her understand where he's coming from.
Yeah.
But do you think he has a plan a little bit while he's talking? Like he's just trying to distract her? I mean, I wonder what he's trying to do. Just trying to get her on his side?
I kind of took that as, just from a writing standpoint, them trying to tell us a little bit more about sort of why Travis has been a lot more hesitant than Madison in certain cases, because he mentions Chris, and he's talks about like how he wanted to be an example for him, and set this good example for his son, but then being in this new world, it's forced him to in a lot of really compromising positions, and he's had to make a lot of difficult decisions. And so for me, it just kind of stood out as to, okay, he was doing this, for his son, and just all of those experiences together, basically kind of explaining like what led him to the decision of putting them in the raft, and kind of apologizing, not really, but just kind of saying like, look, this is how it is now, and I did something that I felt was the best option for everybody. Sorry for just trying to help, type of thing.
Were you guys surprised that Brendan Meyer, that the kid is dead from the boat?
I was.
I was sure he was going to die. You guys were explaining to me that you thought that he was going to come back. I just couldn't see how he would. He seemed so dead on the raft.
Very true. I mean, maybe
I guess we
they
haven't
just
seen him die yet. I guess.
Yeah, I mean, there's nothing to say that in fact she's not lying.
Yeah, it's true.
Because she's clearly not empathic.
Yeah.
She just wants to she has obviously something now in her mind. And like you say, we haven't seen that he's dead. I wouldn't be surprised if he might not be, because the way that she was describing it didn't seem quite right.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
To how it played out.
And it was so descriptive too.
Yeah.
And then you think like, okay, we have resources to make these gourmet steaks on this boat, but we don't have any type of, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
any type of medical supplies or anything like that. So, I mean, he could very well still be alive. I'm not really banking on him making an appearance in the future. If anything, it would be more Alex who does. But yeah, it was interesting. Just that whole conversation, I was really trying to pick up and figure out what were they trying to get at with the interaction between the two of them.
Now, so when Travis gets back to the boat, he's going to find a very different son.
Yeah.
His son is coming apart at the seams.
Yeah.
Lorenzo James Henry, I believe, is the actor that plays Chris, and he's really doing a great job with that.
He is.
I'm really enjoying watching him lose it. The first time when he says to Nick, because he's obviously, Reed's trying to get in his head as Salazar is dressing the wound and all that. Salazar's clearly very comfortable torturing people. He's very comfortable doing that.
His forte, yeah.
Yeah, so Nick comes down and he sees that Chris is talking to Reed, and Reed's getting in his head, and he looks at him and he says, if I had pulled that trigger, none of this would have happened. I pulled the trigger, none of this would have happened. And as soon as he said that, I was like, serial killer alert. Serial killer alert. We're in a world where you're going to have to come across that same situation. If I didn't do X, somebody wouldn't have died.
Yeah.
You're going to come across that every 2 weeks in this world, every week. That's just going to be the way it's going to be. And
Yeah.
clearly he was affected enough by it to just, murder this guy.
Or he was going to turn. He was going to turn.
No way.
You can see him already making excuses in his head.
Justifying,
justifying everything.
Yeah.
Like when they were on land and he was in that crashed plane with the guy, like all of his decisions that he's making now, it's him just making excuses for himself and trying to justify it, even though he knows it's tearing him apart. And
Right.
it's just. Yeah, it's really interesting to watch.
So on the point of view of Carol Watch, you guys recall in season 2 or 3 of Walking Dead when she drags the prisoners out of the prison, burns them alive.
Yeah.
I think she burns them alive. But whatever it is, or maybe she just kills them and burns the bodies. But that was her decision. That was her early on. That was her rationale to take out the trash and do something she thought was necessary.
Yeah.
At the time, it was like, is she evil? Is she sadistic? What is this? Right.
Yeah.
Now she turned out to obviously be a very balanced character.
Yeah.
I wonder if we're seeing the beginnings of him.
I think there's an element there, but I think part of his biggest issue with decision making here is the fact that I think he's trying to. Part of it is the fact that he's spineless.
Yeah.
Right.
He's not willing to when the shit hits the fan. He's not willing to face it. But also, I think an element of his decisions are where he's just trying to do what he thinks people would want him to do. Mm-hmm. So he's got an A and a B situation, and he's going like, okay, what do I think? Well, I would do this, but I'm thinking that the other guys might appreciate it, and it would make amends for this if I do the other thing. Right. And it just so happens that every decision he makes him an absolute liability.
Oh my gosh.
Everybody now knows that he's a massive bullshitter.
Well, because Madison's having that conversation with him. He keeps saying he was going to turn,
Mm-hmm.
and he's like, did I just screw everything up? She's like, we'll figure it out, we'll figure it out.
She's like, no, not at all.
And you see the look on her face, though, and the look on her face in that moment is, we're going to have a real problem with this kid.
Yeah.
This kid's going to be an issue. There's no question this kid's going to be an issue, and everybody knows it.
Yeah.
He's a total liability, and I stick to it that he's going to die at the end of the mid-season finale.
And I feel like he's running out of his, my mom died, so I messed up, and I'm just in a really dark, angry place right now. Like I feel like they've been kind of giving him passes because of that, and then that's starting to run thin now.
What we talked about before with it when we were saying how some of these characters that we thought might bite it in the mid-season finale, we were saying that they hadn't developed Ophelia particularly well. They had started to develop him in this kind of annoying way. She still really hasn't been developed. But Chris is developed, and he's losing it. He seems to be breaking. And a character like that in a show in a situation like this feels like he will die because he'll do something else, or he'll put everybody else at risk or himself at risk. I can't see him surviving that long this way.
Well, it's really interesting because there was a question, there's a conversation tonight where basically it was said that when push comes to shove, because you're not blood,
right,
you will be the one, you will be the expendable one.
Yeah.
And I think he's so got that in the forefront of his mind now that's an overriding fear. But I think actually the way that he's making the decisions and the shots that he's calling, actually that is going to it's going to be a self-fulfilling prophecy.
Yeah.
Because he's going to be such a fuck up that everyone's going to have to take him out,
right,
or leave him behind in order for the greater good, to save everybody else. So he will just create that situation that will be his own downfall. Everybody's going like, he's an annoying character. He's just taking it too far.
He's gotta go. He's gotta go.
That's
Robert
what the fans
Kirkman,
are wanting.
He's gotta go.
But I'm just wondering if this is a slightly controversial viewpoint, but by the fact that he is so divisive, will that be a reason to keep him in?
Yeah, that's
because
what I'm thinking.
You have that visceral, I'm gonna kill you kind of reaction.
Do you mean from the creators?
From the creators and from the audience.
I would have. This is the thing, though. I think he dies in episode 7, and I think for them to change their mind now, it's too late. That's what I think. I just because I can't. I think they will kill someone in the mid-season finale.
Could he be a case? Could he do a Carol? Could he just go, I'm the albatross around the neck of this group. I'm going to disappear.
And leave.
Go away, and then come back later on.
He does seem a bit like that. I started to imagine Chris looking, he had that look on his face. I'm always getting us in trouble, right? And he might do that. So that's actually not a bad. It's not a bad prediction at all. I sort of wonder what the general conversation in the next episode will be between the principal characters. How are we going to handle this kid? What are we going to do about this kid?
Yeah.
The smart characters, Strand and Salazar. Luis is that guy with the gun, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I wonder what all their reactions are going to be back on the boat. This kid almost blew the plan. It's amazing that this plan worked. And speaking of the plan with the zombie trade, I mean, I don't know how Madison went into that situation thinking that was going to work. I mean, it worked.
It
but
did. It was, I know.
I don't really understand it. Do you? I mean, she went into the situation with no backup.
Yeah.
She never pulled the gun. It just so happened that Connor, they didn't figure out what was going on. Connor and the other guy both got bitten. Like, I don't know how it worked.
Yeah.
Well, it was a really interesting piece that she said before she left, actually. And someone's actually asked, is Madison now the captain of the ship?
Yeah.
She effectively is.
Yeah.
And that was an interesting conversation between her and Nick, where Nick was going, let me go, I want to go. And she's like, well, that's exactly why I'm not going to let you go. It's because you want to be there. You want to kick ass. And she's like, you're the wrong... And I think that's because she is so reticent. There's that thing in the back of her mind going like, I'm not coming here to kill. If I have to kill, I have to kill.
Right.
Yeah.
But I'm just here to do the job, rather than going in there with a battle mentality.
And Nick was going to definitely do that. I mean, it's a great character arc to see on Mother's Day. It's mothers kicking ass for their kids.
Makes a change from giving her chocolates, right?
Yeah, right.
What have you got for Mother's Day? A zombie?
Yeah.
Not really what I had in mind. An Amazon voucher would have been lovely.
I thought that the Travis headbutt in the zombie trade was maybe the best moment of the whole episode.
Yeah.
It was a really good moment. There was also the moment when Alicia jumped in the water and she kind of got up and threw her hair back like she was a Vogue model. That was also a really good moment.
Oh my God, you and her.
But I thought the Travis headbutt was probably the best moment of the whole episode. It was very satisfying.
Yeah.
Just like running at someone full speed with your hands behind your back and like, this is what I gotta do. I just gotta go full tilt headbutt.
Which I'm like, how do you do that without knocking
yourself out? Yeah, I know.
Like, I'm dizzy just looking at the scene, so I don't know how he pulled that
I would have
off.
kicked him in the nuts.
Why did Madison
That'll
never
take him down.
Why did Madison never pull the gun? She was kicking the guy. Travis was fighting with him, but she never pulled the gun. Did she not have it? Was it in the boat?
I don't think. Did she?
I don't know. Did she have
hand her a gun?
She and Nick. She had the gun in hand talking to Nick. I'm pretty sure when she was in the boat and he was saying, "Why won't you let me go?" I thought she cocked the gun, and then she said, "Because you want to."
I don't know.
Does the
I
chat,
did not
does
see
the chat
that.
not see the gun? Am I making that
Tell
up?
us about the gun, chat
Yeah,
room. Tell us about the
please.
gun.
Tell us.
I think for her, it's a case of she only brings a weapon into play or a physicality into play when she absolutely has to.
Right.
But that would have been a really, at
it would've been a good-
at least
if you got a gun, it
pulling
would've
it
been a good
out
time.
and pointing at him saying like stop or I'll shoot you,
But
even if she doesn't intend
But
to
if you
use
pull
it.
a gun and the pirates got guns, they're going to pull guns.
Right.
But it's only one person at that point, you know? It was just the guy who was
just
fighting
Travis fighting with her.
So that's interesting. Chat, help us out and let us know your thoughts on that. But yeah, I thought just going back to that too with Madison sort of taking kind of ownership and control over a lot of the situations that were happening on the boat, and seeing Chris and Nick and Alicia in their different scenes, and her basically saying like, these are my kids, and them, you saw in little pieces of all of them, the line that I think it was Nick said that we're not, or Salazar said that they're not kids anymore.
Yeah.
You gotta kind of let that go. So I think that'll be an interesting experience for Madison going forward.
Yeah.
Having to come to grips with, okay, it might be a situation where I may need Nick to go out and do this, or Alicia or Chris if he makes it that long, where they're kind of going to have to step up to the plate. So I feel like they're kind of setting her up to be a character who feels like she has to just have her hands on everything, and it might become too overwhelming for her, and that might play a really interesting role in how she's handling things going forward, especially with Travis.
Gun update. Winterwolf 915. I don't remember a gun. Marilyn Ortiz says, I just think she didn't want Nick to pull it, so she wasn't going to pull it herself. Marisa B, I think she was mostly kicking. There was a lot of kicking going on. And Johnny Rico says, maybe she didn't want to take the risk of shooting Travis by accident.
Yeah, I get that.
Which is fair.
Yeah, that's a fair consideration.
So good point there.
So speaking of, you mentioned the comment when Madison said that there's 4 of you, or she didn't say there's 4 of you, but they're kids, and you have something with kids. So of the 4 kids, they're each at a different place, and we're seeing each one of them sort of go through their own process. So starting with Nick. Nick seems the best. He is the best equipped of the 4 of them to just live in this world. It's because of his time as a junkie. I think it's because of his time drifting as an almost dead person anyway. The risks. We've talked a lot about him, and we're seeing him really become hard to nail him as the Carol character just because he already seemed to sort of be that way from the beginning. He was a risk taker. Then you have Alicia, and Alicia seems to be the one where she's growing into this role. She's understanding it, but she still is pretty meek in terms of not really wanting to get her hands dirty. Yeah, it was a big deal for her to like push that pregnant woman and lock the gate, And she had that knife or that metal thing in her pocket. She could have pulled to hit her with. She's just not quite there yet. I think with Chris, he's becoming a serial killer. He's like coming part of the same. He's the one who's dealing with the worst. And Ophelia, I can't quite pin what we're supposed to think about Ophelia yet, and I want to talk a little bit about her conversation with Daniel. She has these interactions with him usually for a minute or 2 per episode. Yeah, there's a resentment that's on her end towards him. Like she doesn't like who he is. She thinks that she can't trust him or that she doesn't know who he is or something. She resents him for just sort of doing what he has to do. It seems like. Yeah, but they're not giving her that much rope yet to actually establish who she is. What do you guys think about Ophelia? Who is she as a character?
I honestly and unfortunately, I think that she probably plays into Daniel's character a little bit more. I feel like his connection to her, it's probably one of the only reasons why he hasn't jump shipped or hasn't, double crossed anybody at this point. And I think that we'll kind of see a little bit more about his past and, I think that her being there it's kind of like an anchor for him in a certain way. I don't really know what function she has outside of that. I'm not really feeling like a romance is gonna bud. I think we were kind of talking about that. Like there might be some type of
necrophilia.
Necrophilia.
Yeah, right.
Shout out to our necrophilia namer. But yeah, so I think that it's more to play into Daniel's character and how he'll evolve. Whether he'll sort of turn south if something does happen to her, or if she gets captured, or I think it's just sort of helping to strengthen the story that's being told about who he is and the character that he'll eventually become. A couple
of things in the chat on this actually. Apparently Mercedes tweeted recently that there's an important interaction between Ophelia and Salazar in the next episode. That's from Moldova808. And Marissa B says she thinks that we'll get a Daniel flashback soon, which would, from what you're saying, actually help fill in some of those. It's interesting today that he was obviously hearing voices.
Yep.
So that was quite interesting.
And what language was that? I don't think that was Spanish.
No, I didn't.
It was something. It sounded. I don't even know. Like it sounded.
Well, what's their nationality? Do we know? Are they Colombian?
I think they're Colombian.
What we found out in the first season.
I thought they were El Salvadorian.
El Salvadorian. I think that sounds right.
Yeah. So it did not sound like Spanish. It sounded, I want to say like a Middle Eastern type of language.
Yeah, that would be fair.
So like you said, them having a flashback, learning just more about his
Daniel.
Whole past and what he was talking about in season 1 where he had seen all these things and all these things had happened. And I think her resentment towards him, it would make more sense because she's like, did you do anything? I'm just checking to make sure that you didn't go too far.
Right.
She alludes to that a lot. So I think that they're probably going to show that a lot more in future episodes.
Going back to the chat again, actually, this is from just another average fangirl. I think the voice is Daniel's father.
Okay.
So that could be quite cool.
Yeah,
bit of a Star Wars thing there.
I would love to see a Daniel flashback. He has that great moment with Strand too when they're on the bow today, where he says to him, "Why did you do that? You have no skin in this." And he says, "Neither do you." Which again was another one of those characters. They do like to show the parallels between those two guys. That's a relationship that they've had a lot of fun building. Yeah. And it's I hope we get to see the two of them together for a while longer.
I think I've said this before, but I think we're going to see them teaming up.
Yeah, seems like it.
I think they're going to kind of be two really strong characters, which I think we might lose a Travis or someone like like that to make room for the strength and the size of that dynamic.
I mean, yeah, that's one of my earlier predictions was Travis next season, and I think I stick with that. But it's going to depend. My completely sticking with that is going to actually come down to Madison and how much more of like the alpha she continues to become, because she's really becoming the alpha, the captain of the ship and all that. And I think if she keeps going in that direction, Travis just feels like he'll be the expendable character as far as the leads go. But it'll take a while. I mean, I think that's a meaningful death. So that's like a season 3 death, not like a season 2 death.
I think season 3 feels about right.
Yeah, I mean Anyway, so Salazar has the voices. So let's just talk for a quick second before we get into predictions about Madison and Strand. And sort of the growing, I guess, mutual respect. Strand seems to be a little bit almost like afraid of her.
Yeah.
Kind of like, I can't control this woman. And Luis is like, Strand, what are you doing? What are you doing? I have money for 2. And Daniel can understand that. He clearly was listening. He could understand what they were saying. So I just wonder, how's that plan going to work? How's that plan going to work?
I didn't really see it so much as fear, but just more so respect, and how she was saying, like, I could have left you out into the water. And, last episode when, they showed that whole dynamic of him really having respect for people. Like if he owed people, he had to pay them back and pay them a debt. So I think that he just kind of respects her a lot more in the sense of like, okay, I kind of got to play by the rules because these are my rules that I set up for myself. And she is taking a lot more charge of the situation.
Absolutely.
Even if she doesn't seem to have like a really strong or clear plan, she's just so assertive about it and like, no, this is happening. And it's kind of hard to argue with that, especially when you're, shivering and, just been rescued by this woman.
I think for Strand, a lot of it is respect, and I think a lot of it is what he does with people. We've seen this a few times. Is he pushes people to the brink where they will either break, or it will bring something out of them.
Yes.
And I think he's seeing that with her, where she's just she's just got a big old pair of balls now.
Yeah.
She is strong, and she's stronger than most of the men on there. So we're seeing her develop, we're seeing Nick develop, and I just think that he kind of goes like, fair enough.
Yeah, right.
You're my equal.
You bought yourself half a day.
You've got to go through that darkness with him to come out the other side, and you're either a winner or you're a loser. And I think he sees that rather than go head to head with her and face off with her, and there be a power struggle with her. He's kind of like, let's just do it together. Strength in numbers.
Which is why when you talk about the conversations that are going to happen between Luis, Strand, and Salazar about Chris, that's going to be an interesting conversation, because there's no way he's going to look at the situation and he's going to say, that kid brings value.
Here's a thought.
Yeah.
Because there's so many of them and they can only take a few through, is Chris going to sacrifice himself?
Maybe. I mean, it might. That could very well be. The thing is, they only have money for 2, and there's like 9 of them or something. So I don't think he might sacrifice himself as a martyr, but not actually not actually solve anything.
Yeah.
He to me feels like the most obvious candidate for the midseason death. It just really feels that way. I definitely like to see the respect growing between Strand and Madison. Let's get into Carol Watch and predictions, guys.
Okay.
Yeah.
And now, your AfterBuzz TV predictions.
All right, so first and foremost, we will play the Carol Watch game. Hashtag Carol Watch on Twitter. You guys let us know who you think is the character that is undercover developing to be the biggest badass. I think leading candidates in this camp thus far have been, Alicia on my end. I think we've all agreed Nick is sort of like, Nick, Strand, and Daniel, it's hard to really...
potential.
It's hard to pin them as Carols because they were all kind of had balls to begin with.
Yeah.
Maybe Nick more so than the other two, but Strand and Daniel, they're just badasses.
Yeah.
So... I believe it's sort of been Nick and Alicia have been the favorites. And then one of you said Chris at one point, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I thought Chris for a really, really long time. But I can see him kind of going on more of a deep end Negan type of direction. But yeah.
Does Madison qualify? Does she qualify as
she's my vote this week.
Yeah.
I would say that. Mostly because there was just they put a lot of emphasis on her thinking that her kids are kids.
Yeah.
And that she was just a lot of mothering, a lot of, overprotectiveness. And I think that there's going to be a breaking point to where she kind of has to realize, like, okay, I have to let go of that. And I think that's going to mess with her a lot. Like if she loses one of the kids or if something happens, And I see a lot of parallels between her and Carol, just because she was very much the same way, you know, very protective, very like motherly. And then when she lost that, then she's kind of like, well, I kind of have nothing else left to lose, so let's just let the reins go.
I'm with you. I picked Madison this week. As much as Alicia is, she's definitely growing in the show, and they're doing a great job with her. She still feels a ways away to me from being that character. Whereas Madison, you know, she started in the school afraid to even hit the zombie. She didn't know what to do, and now she's the one who's taking charge. She's telling Strand how it is. She's captaining the boat. She's taking the gun. She's doing the zombie trade. Yeah. She was the one who did the zombie trade. That's a ballsy move. Yeah. I think she's my pick this week.
I'm gonna go with Ophelia.
Oh, okay. You think she's lurking? She's lurking.
I think she's lurking, and I think that whatever's going on with Saladon, someone said that potentially, actually, it could be mental health, which would be an interesting, could be schizophrenic, it could be an interesting line. Yeah. And we haven't had that in the show. I think that she's going to come through, and I think there's going to be something a decision she's going to have to make, or a situation that she will be forced into, where she's going to have to make some big choices, which she hasn't had to do to this point, really. Everyone else has had big decisions to make and big situations to deal with. Yeah. She hasn't had that, and I think that is where she's going to become. It's like for Carol when, you know, you saw her having to kill her daughter and stuff like that very early on in The Walking Dead. I think she's got one of those moments to come that's just going to click. Yeah. And she's going to have to step up, step out, do something bold. Yep. So she's going to be my guess for Carol Watch this week.
Fair enough. You guys share your thoughts in the chat. Share your thoughts on Twitter. Let us know. You've been great the last few weeks letting us know. Hashtag Carol Watch. Who you think that character is going to be. What about general predictions, guys? I'll jump in with the big two that I mentioned already, which is end of the mid-season finale, Chris dies. Yep. Season 3, Travis dies. Those are both ones that I've talked about before. And then they didn't really give me a whole lot of faith in the Ophelia Nick romance, so I don't know.
Necrophilia is
how I feel about that. One thing that I did forget to point out was that in an interview with Good Morning or Good Day LA, Mercedes Mason made a comment about her relationship to Alicia being an important one, and their relationship in the show growing. And obviously because Alicia had played a lesbian character in another show, the internet blew up and was like, what does that mean? And she did clarify. She said not that kind of relationship, much more of like a sisterly type of thing. Yeah. But the fact that she's saying that there's going to be room for that does lead me to believe they're going to develop Ophelia. She's not at risk for the mid-season finale. And I think Ophelia's here to stay for a while.
Interesting.
I think we're going to see Jack coming back. Okay. I don't think we're going to wait too long. I don't think we've seen the last of Alex from the raft. I think she's going to come back. Yep. I think we're going to see something with the pregnant woman. They're not going to just leave that there. Right. She's going to get out of that cell. Someone's going to let her out, and I think we're going to see some sort of collusion there. And I think that's where Jack's going to have to make a choice, because there's going to be the three of them. And Jack's going to have to decide who he wants to be with and who he wants to save and who he wants to kill. So I think there's that. And also I think we're going to see Chris. He's got to make up for his cock up this week. Yeah. I mean, that was just, rookie zombie era. I mean, everyone knows that he's full of shit now. Yeah. So I think he's going to have to do something, either sacrifice himself or make some sort of ridiculous sacrifice to try and redeem himself in some way. Because right now, he has no collateral. He's got nothing. Right.
I'm feeling like Luis and Salazar, that might be an interesting head-to-head. Because he understood what he said, and he was listening to what he said, and I thought that was interesting that he didn't tell Madison about that. So I think that, them being at the boat and somebody shooting, and them all hiding, I think it's going to come to a situation where they're like, you got to choose two people, and they're probably going to want to kill the other ones off just to make it easy. So I think that Strand, Madison, Salazar, and Luis are going to have a really interesting interaction with each other.
What if they get there and it's a whole firefight to let two people in? Two people get in, and then the others don't get let in. They have to go on their way.
There are calls that are going to have to be made, and you're going to have to remember that Strand, with the guy that we saw last week, he's going to have to pick a side. Yeah. There's going to be a loyalty thing there, because this dude's waiting for him to come home. Yeah. And there are 9 people.
Yeah.
Provided there is even a home to go to. Right. We don't know. In this world, everything goes wrong. So we really don't know what's going to happen.
Yeah, it never goes smoothly, does it?
No, it doesn't.
Organising your diary in a zombie apocalypse must be a bloody nightmare.
Dear diary.
So that's going to pretty much do it for us this week, guys. Yeah. Thank you so much for once again watching and tuning in and joining the conversation. Of course, if you guys want to follow along with any one of us and let us know your thoughts as you're watching or listening to this during the week, we will be here next week to answer your questions. You can find me on Twitter and Instagram at Ben Bateman Media.
Hey guys, I'm on Twitter, Instagram, Ashley_Chatman, and on Facebook, Ashley Chatman. Thanks for watching tonight.
And I'm on Instagram and Twitter at ShowbizSimon, and you can also find me on Facebook, facebook.com/This is Simon Thompson.
Done and done. We'll see you guys next Sunday.
See you guys.
From executive producers Maria Menounos, Kevin Undergaro, Phil Svitek, and the entire AfterBuzz TV staff, we would like to thank you for listening to the AfterBuzz TV network. To watch or listen to other after shows and post comments or questions, be sure to visit AfterBuzzTV.com. I'm Sir Richard Wentworth, and this has been a presentation of AfterBuzz TV.
See you later.
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of AfterBuzz TV or its owners or principals.